Lecture topic: Success through humility.
الشيخ الحديث زكريا صاحب رحمة الله عليه was a person of a very high caliber, and Allah Ta'ala had blessed him with a very ajib level of jami'iyat, very comprehensive personality. On the one side, he was, in his time, the word Shaykh al-Hadith had become synonymous to him. Somebody just said Shaykh al-Hadith, whereas Shaykh al-Hadith is a title. Many people wear Shaykh al-Hadith from that time. If a person just said Shaykh al-Hadith without any name attached to it, then it referred to him. So in other words, in the field of Hadith Sharif, he had reached a very, very distinguished position, renowned throughout, let alone India, Pakistan and so on. But even in the Arab lands, due to his kitabs, he had become renowned as a great muhaddis. On the one side, this was his caliber in the field of hadith. Then in terms of tasawwuf, then all the mashayikh of the time were unanimous that he was the qutub of the time. These are various categories of the Sufia, and qutub is a very, very high category. No need to get into the details of it. So in fact, he used to be, among his titles you'll find some places, many places written Qutbul Aqtab. Of the category of qutubs, he was the head of it. Now this is another whole discussion, another different world almost. So in the line of tasawwuf, this was his position. All the mashayikh of the time also used to hold him in very high esteem. So the field of ta'aleem, field of hadith sharif, he was at this position. The field of islah and tasawwuf, he was at this maqam. Then it was in that era that the work of dawat and tabligh started off and took on. So at the time of Hazrat Maulana Ilyas Rahmatullah alayhi, he was obviously the head of it all, but he would still make mashwara with his Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi, many issues, and he would use him on many occasions to sort many things out. After he passed away, and even from the very appointment of the Maulana Yusuf Rahmatullah alayhi in his place, from that moment till Hazrat Shaykh's last moment in life, till he was alive, all the major issues used to be done with his mashwara. Sometimes he would have to come and spend lengthy periods of time in Nizamuddin just to deal with whatever necessary work there. So for a long period of time, in fact throughout his life from that point in time, all major decisions in the whole, so basically he was, so to say, the overseer. Though Maulana Yusuf Rahmatullah alayhi was the Amir in that time, and after him Maulana Imam Hassan Sahib, but in his time, in his lifetime, he was the overseer of it. Now, simultaneously, at one time, the line of Ta'aleem, especially in the field of Hadith Sharif, he's at this very high position. Then in the field of Tasawwuf, in this position. And in terms of the work of Dawat and Tabligh, in this maqam, that he is now the overseer. They are actually coming to him for the final decision in things. Of such a comprehensive personality. And then in that time in India, the political climate was very, very intense because of the English having come to India, and the effort to get the English out, and then the partition of India and Pakistan, all the various things that happened as a result, and the difference of views that came about among the ulama themselves, as a result of which, while those differences of views was based on sincerity and ilm, so there was ikhtilaf. But people lower down made it khilaf. They made it a fight. And very, very serious. Very serious in the sense that Hazrat Madni Rahmatullah Alayhi was on the one side of it. He had his view that there should not be any partitioning of India. It should remain unpartitioned. There shouldn't be a separate state that the Muslims are demanding for. Muslims should remain in India, undivided India. And because that was his position, so he was now regarded as, Nauzubillah, a stooge of the Indians, of the English. So up to the point where sometimes he's got a jalsa somewhere, bayan somewhere. So there were attempts on his life, when a whole hordes of people, they crowded around, started stoning, and people who were around him had to sort of cover him with their own selves, and they got injured and get him out of that place. In other words, if Allah Ta'ala saved him, otherwise in many instances like this his life would have gone. That's how intense this had become. Not just a ikhtilaf that got left on just academic discussions. People at the bottom end started making it a thing of this nature. But yet in that time, all the people of the different opposing views also, they would still gather at Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi's time, sometime in the same time. Anybody passing by, they would stop to visit him. And he would host them, they'd have meals with him. Sometimes people of the both camps, so to say, would coincidentally gather there. No one knew the other party would be there as well. And he would have to sort of handle this in a way that everything goes calmly, no issues. So what the point is, that even in these kind of issues, despite the differences between whatever was going on, but they held him as a central figure. Now, all these things are very, very clear. Anybody who reads the various kitabs that deal with the life of the Akabir in that zamana and whatever the halat occurred in that time, has any insight into these things. So this is something not anything difficult to take note of. It's all very clear. So now that's one part of it. But then now his own opinion about himself. So if you look at his writings, repeatedly he only addresses himself as a nakara. Literally translated as wrongdoer. Many places a napak. Can we might even forget, write it somewhere about ourselves, but even to maybe say it to ourselves quietly too, we might hesitate to say it. I must call myself like this. Doesn't sound right. And these are just one or two examples I'm giving. Many other examples like this. People would write to him sometime, his murid, etc., about mubasharat they had, etc., whereas he had many as well. So, alhamdulillah, I'm very honored that I have people, my friends, who have these maqamat and so on. Allah Ta'ala grant me something also. What the point is, that he had been blessed with this height in all these departments, everything right at the top in that zamana. But if you look at this side of him, he had totally annihilated himself. These words weren't just for, like now, if we start writing the same words, we can also write it. Ahkarul wara, la shay, and whatever else you want to write there. But it will be merely words, and it will be words to attract some attention. It will be words to just attract some attention. They didn't have any ulterior motive in writing this kind of thing. They were writing their hearts out. Truly believed themselves in their hearts like that. That's how it naturally came. But what the point we are discussing is that this annihilation was complete. And this was the annihilation, this was the maqam Allah Ta'ala gave. Not that he felt he was great, he felt he was nothing. Though Allah Ta'ala had blessed him with all that maqam, but within himself he felt he was nothing. He felt he was this. It's a very standard and basic lesson, which is all the time a reminder for us that in this path the thing is fana, annihilation. To the extent that a person annihilates himself, to that extent Allah Ta'ala elevates him. But that annihilation is for Allah alone. And not even with the slightest any thought somewhere in the corner that if I do take up this line of annihilating myself, then maybe someday I'll also get elevated. Now, elevated in our mind means I'll also gain some prominence. People look up to me also maybe one day. Then that already has become, that's the total opposite of fana. The annihilation, this particular motivation in it has totally corrupted that itself has become the opposite of it. It has become the total opposite of what annihilation is all about. So the issue is annihilation. I'm nobody, I'm nothing. Abu Musa Ash'ari radiallahu ta'ala on one occasion he discussed something and he mentioned that we went on this ghazwa with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to the point that walking bare feet, no shoes also, stony ground, and such a long journey, the feet got completely sort of scraped off to the extent that the toe nails fell off. Can you imagine what an excruciating situation? And he expressed this out of maybe targheeb, or just sometimes some memories come, and that expressed that memory that with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what a situation Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself went through. And he said it, and he said, but I don't know why I said this. What good I got out of saying it? In other words, this I shouldn't have said. What's the use of me saying it to others? This was done for Allah Ta'ala. Now, that self-check all the time. Whereas they were not saying it with any ulterior motive. But now I said it, this must not become a means of some ujb. A whole worry about that. The person was annihilated himself. That I'm nobody, what would do? Why must I say something that's going to create a problem? So, in all aspects, whatever it is, to the extent of the annihilation, person and annihilation, externally what will be done is actually meant to be the expression of what is the condition of the heart. Externally sometimes it can be just a takalluf, and sometimes that takalluf is necessary to start bringing a person onto the externally onto that line. But the purpose is that must become a means of inculcating the reality in the heart. That is where the essence is. The essence is in the heart. Tawazu, the essence of it is in the heart. Externally it gets expressed. Sometimes it will be the expression of what is in the heart. Sometimes just takalluf. Sometimes just actually a deception. That now that tawazu is being done so that somebody must observe this, and therefore it will then add some points for me in some matter. Now when I would go and put a proposal, they say, mashallah, very humble fellow. So now that humility was for some scoring some points, tick some boxes off. So now they think, no, he's a very humble fellow, so inshallah it will be fine. Whereas that humility was all a nicely practiced and rehearsed drama. So that's not going to help. The reality, Allah Ta'ala knows. So yes, one is a person is now not necessarily feeling like that I am nobody, but he's forcing himself to do things that will humble him. That is in his place. That is a takalluf, but that is to try and inculcate the reality. So the reality is not yet there, but this is the means of getting there. This is the road. Al-hilmu bit-tahallum. Person doesn't have that hilm yet, but he is forcing himself to appear like he didn't feel anything. Hilm becomes a natural condition where the person can take things in his stride and it's like nothing happened. Within himself he feels like that. Somebody saw him, somebody did something, like nothing happened. But now it didn't reach there yet, so now he's making tahallum. He's forcing himself to appear as if nothing happened. But why he's doing it? Allah must be pleased. So right now it's not yet a natural condition, but that takalluf will eventually bring it there, provided it's for this correct purpose. But if it is a pretense deliberately to impress somebody else, then all that is going to be of no benefit. So coming back to that main point of this whole lesson is, these people reach these very great ranks. It was through the primary road of fana, annihilation, complete tawazu. And this is the crux of the hadith sharif, man tawada'a lillah rafa'ahu Allah. One who truly humbles himself for Allah Ta'ala, from within himself, Allah Ta'ala will elevate. Allah Ta'ala give us
अल्लाह अल्लाह कैसा प्यारा नाम है, आशिकों का मीना और जाम है।